Hello everybody and welcome back to another Bazaar video. This one's a little bit different than my usual stuff. Today we're going to be going over the patch notes for the new hotfix, or I guess it's just a regular patch, but it came out just today at noon Eastern time. We're going to be going over all the changes here. So to start with, all the heroes increase starting health by 50. This will make the initial fights a little bit slower, but it'll also make it much easier for everybody to survive things like Warrior and stuff like that, although that won't be as big of an issue as it was before, as you'll see before. I mean, this just like slows down a couple of the starting days and it makes it a little bit easier to fight the initial enemies. But since it's kind of a universal change, it's not it won't be like hugely changing for like PvP fights. It'll make us a little bit more resilient against things like Vanessa just putting a grenade on the board, things like that. So you'll survive a little bit better against somebody that's doing like burst ammo, but otherwise it's not a huge change in my opinion. So next we have a bunch of Mac changes here. So the adrenal converters, this is the one where like when you poison yourself, it gives haste. So they lowered the haste down to 1 second. Not a huge nerf, but because you're usually spamming haste fast enough that you had perma haste anyway. Barb claws going up to 6 seconds from 5. So that's like the little claws that would have triple cast. That is pretty significant. 5 was very fast. It was the same speed as pulse rifle, the same multicast, but it was a small. So pretty deserved. This thing was very strong, and now it'll be a little bit weaker, but still pretty good. Relic type. I don't think that might be like Mac's next expansion. It's like relic based, might be why they're doing that, but I don't think it makes a huge difference currently. Infused Bracer, they fixed a bug where it was in the stash. That's good. It was a very annoying bug that people could use to abuse and get very strong. So this is Peace Rot, this is a big one. So they increased the cooldown by 1 second. They made it so when you visit a merchant, permanently destroy item to the left of this, and when you destroy an item, gain gold. So it no longer gives you infinite money from like transforms. You can no longer loop it with like potion distillery or similar effects. It still does give you a little bit of gold, but it's no longer quite as powerful as it was before. And the slower cooldown and the slightly harder way to loop it, I think will make it a little bit less oppressive, but we'll see. Recycling bin, they gave it a little bit more regen, I believe is what happened there. So a little bit of a buff to recycling bin, maybe it'll be a bit more viable later on. Staff of the Moose was moved to gold. This is pretty deserved. This item was extremely powerful, in particular at silver. If you got it on like day 3, you could just basically one-shot people for like 3 or 4 days. So it looks like they've been trying to hit those sort of items, as we'll see with Railgun in a little bit. Shard of Obsidians is that little the little lifesteal shard that's supposed to be a reagent, but people just use it as a weapon. Again, it was extremely powerful, so I could see why they would nerf this a little bit. The weapon Mac builds were extremely strong. Test Subject Alpha, so they reduced the cooldown on him, and I believe they increased the poison that he gave. So this guy wasn't being used as much as the other items in the Mac expansion, so I can see why they buffed him a bit. He was just a little bit too slow to like ever have him go off, but it's not too bad. So we'll see how that goes. I don't play enough Mac to really give like a huge opinion. Just so you know, I mainly only play dualies, but I think that we'll be seeing a little bit more Subject Alpha. I don't know if he'll be broken or not. 5 seconds is pretty fast, but we'll see. I think it'll have the issue that a lot of these sort of items have, where the first hit will be like kind of a medium amount of damage, and then you're gonna have to try to get to the second hit with a huge stack of damage. But oftentimes you'll die before that happens, so we'll see. Items without charge tend to have that sort of issue in the later game. Okay, so Vial Launcher. I think this is I'll have to double check what that used to do. So I actually have it up here. We can take a look. Where was it? Okay, so all they did was increase the damage. I pretty much never saw Vial Launchers, so I assume that this was like, just like not particularly good. I'm sorry, I don't play a ton of Mac, but a buff for this will make it more viable. But in particular, they've pretty much doubled the damage late game. So late game, this will definitely be more viable as like a payoff for potion builds. All right, Vanessa items. Husky Pete, so this was like the little phoenixy bird looking dude. He just got extra burn before, and now he gains extra multicast, so he can be like multicast 3. So we'll take a look at him in here. There he is. So he used to gain a little bit of burn, and now he gets extra multicast, which is pretty nice. Will he be viable? I don't know. He's pretty slow, unfortunately. He's got a 7-second cooldown, so he's kind of like you can turn him into rocket launcher if you have an adjacent friend and property, but he is gold plus, so I'm not sure he'll see any play still. But this is at the least a good change, and you could use him for like Tortuga, etc. now, because he has multicast to do multiple friend triggers. Richardson gains aquatic. I don't think that'll be a huge difference, although it does give Dooley access to an aquatic item, which could be potentially usable at some point, because you can get this from Satcom. And then Water Wheel they buffed, which is pretty good because it was pretty terrible, to be clear. It used to be really good, but it's just kind of been outclassed lately. Next, we'll go to Pig. So Atlas Stone, they made it start at bronze and they changed the cooldown. So you've probably never seen Atlas Stone before. It was the big rock that started at diamond and is now a bronze item. It used to be a 6-second cooldown and now it scales. So this one is the one that deals 1 damage and then doubles this item's damage for the fight. It could be extremely strong or not. I'm not entirely sure. I've heard historically this was pretty good, like before the beta happened. But we'll have to see. So the basic idea is that you give this thing like some flat damage to start from something like Crook or any of Pig's like many flat damage skills. And then you just try to spam this. Although Pig doesn't have great ways to spam it, unlike somebody like Dooley. If you get this on Dooley, you'd be in a pretty good spot because you could charge it and have it go off and double over and over. So pretty good. We'll see how good it is though. I could see there being a build that would make this super broken. So somebody could do something with like Speedrunner, spam the stone, and I think that might end up being kind of crazy. Yeah, we'll find out. So this is just some changes to Beehive. They gave it a little bit of a buff because the bees were pretty bad compared to the previous patch, but they're at least like, hopefully they're not too strong. I kind of don't like playing against bees. Most of like the reactive items are pretty bad for Dooley to play against. But they've updated a few more. So they already did this with a few of them, but I think they've just updated a few of the enchantments. Do they have them in here? They don't have them listed on here, unfortunately. They just update a few of the enchantments to say, I'm pretty sure they already did this, but maybe this is just in the patch notes, because I'm almost certain this already was in the game. Anyway. One cure is just a bug fix. So Drabellium Drum, this was like a pretty big nerf to Drum, and pretty deserved. Drum was extremely powerful. You can see it goes from 15 to 9. It'll still be quite good, but it won't be as oppressive. It is actually better at Silver. Oh, sorry, no, it's not. I read that wrong. My bad. It's only slightly worse at Silver, but it is nerfed across the board. It'll still be good. It just won't be as good. It won't delete you quite as fast as it did before, at least. Showcase, oh, sorry, Ice Club was the next one. Ice Club is changed to, it was changed from Charge 3 to Charge 2, but they lowered the cooldown a bit. It'll still be really good. I don't think this will make any difference to how it plays, to be honest. Because it's still when any item gains freeze, so things tend to gain freeze in like big chunks, like they'll freeze the whole board, etc. And so basically it's always just going to be instantly charging. It's just slightly slower than it was before, probably. Although it's only 1 extra proc to completely loop it, so I think it's pretty much going to play the same. And then we got Halati here. So Halati got nerfed a little bit. It was a little bit too strong, apparently. I think it was mostly just good with Drum, so we'll see if this combination of these two help it out. Same with Ring King, they got a little bit of a nerf there. This was an extremely powerful early game item, both of these for Pig. So they kind of nerfed his early game a little bit. They made his Drum build a little bit worse. They also nerfed Showcase, so you can see that they lowered the scaling on it, at least early on. At Diamond it works the same, although I've never seen a Diamond one. So it's just slightly worse scaling. So again, they're just kind of like slightly lowering Pig's early game option or like power level, I guess, because he was kind of oppressive in the last patch where he's really good late game. And he was pretty good early too. So now at least he's slightly worse early and he'll still have his great late game options. Snowmobile, so they have it so it has scaling cooldown and it also is whenever you haste or freeze, charges 2 seconds. This is actually a viable item now. It used to not be, so it'll still gain the damage when it goes off, but it used to like be when this gains haste or when you freeze. This part in particular made it really hard to use, but now you could put like Snowmobile with Drum or something like that and it'll spam itself pretty fast, in particular at higher tiers. And it provides some in-combat scaling, so it charges itself up, goes faster and faster. Well, it doesn't go faster, but the damage goes up and up and up. I could see this being usable. It wasn't before purely with freeze, but with the haste change, I think is the main one. In particular with Drum, because Pig doesn't have many other sources of haste. Yeah, good change. Right, and then we're on to the Dooley items. This is what I came here for. The Dooley changes. I don't think there's any that are outside. Okay, we can just look at the pictures, it'll help. So Armored Core, they increased the viability of it endgame. So it used to be like, Armored Core is pretty good early game, but then at the end it would struggle. So they've upgraded its abilities at Diamonds. So you can see you get an extra 20. I'm not sure this will make it viable. It'll be better than it was, certainly. The main issue with it is just that Poison just completely deletes you, and Poison is pretty popular right now, in particular with the new Mac expansion. So we'll see how much that change actually makes, or see how much of a difference that change actually makes. But for now, it kind of just seems like it's nice, but I don't think it'll push it past having issues with Poison and not scaling enough at endgame. We'll see. Brick Buddy down to 5 seconds. Brick Buddy's issue is largely with scaling, but this could actually make a pretty big difference. Just because friends are always hasted, so it's basically like, it's a little bit more impactful than it at first seems. So being able to spam Brick Buddy a little bit more will be nice, at least early game, potentially. I still don't know if he'll be good. I'll definitely try him out because I do like the friend builds, but we'll see. Cybersecurity getting a buff down to 8 seconds is actually huge. He was already viable, like he was already usable, even at 10. But now at 8, when you get him to Diamond, he's going to be like potentially even usable with just haste. You don't like strictly need battery or something. But if you have like a Diamond battery with a Diamond cybersecurity, he's going to go off every 4 seconds, which is extremely fast. So this is definitely going to be one to look out for. And I think once people start picking this up, it'll be one of Dooley's more powerful endgame builds currently. Forklift, this was already how it worked. They just, well, this one was broken, but they basically just tweaked the enchantment so they show up properly. Axana, this is a fun one. So they changed it so when the first time you use this each fight, destroy a small or medium item instead of just a small for the fight. And then when you destroy an item during combat, double this item's damage for the fight. And it starts at 25 and goes to 50. So if there's like, if you could use it, it's unfortunately not a tech item, it's a tool. But if you could use it with like antimatter chamber or something similar like that, or dinos maybe. Specifically, I think antimatter chamber would be the thing to use with this because you're trying to like destroy as many items as possible. And that one kind of has the most because it destroys itself and 3 others. So that's 4. So at diamond, it would be 100 damage. So then it would be 200 damage. So that would be 400. Then it would be pretty. It'd be a decent chunk of damage, especially if you could fit more destruction in there somehow. This again makes me suspect that our next expansion is going to be dino or item destruction themed. But we will see. We'll see if my predictions come true because they've been tweaking a lot of the item destruction stuff lately. And I think that them making this more viable, in particular this part, I think once the expansion comes out, this is going to potentially be like a carry item for it. I think it's going to be hard to make work during the current patch, but in the future, this will be a cool item, I think, once we get more options there. Similar to the Armored Core, they gave Ignition just like a little bump at Diamond. It was already pretty good, so that the extra burn is welcome. But I don't know if it'll make a huge impact. It might. You still really want like a shield or a heal enchant on this to make it viable endgame though. Kinetic Cannon, now this is a really cool one. So they've made it so the cooldown goes from 9 seconds to 987 seconds. And then when you use a small item, it now charges the core by 1 second in addition to gaining a bit of damage. So it goes faster, which is one of the main issues it had before. And now you can run it with even just like an armored core to help like keep itself alive, or the core to make it go even faster. We'll have to see if the 7 seconds is enough. It might be with like battery and similar things like that you're going to be using to charge it, but charging the core is definitely a cool option, and I really like that. And I'm looking forward to trying this item out. I'm glad they made it different from just like another railgun, essentially. So that's cool. Nitrogen Hammer starts at silver, so this is a pretty big-ish one. So you can find Nitrogen Hammer early, but all of our early freeze items are pretty garbo. So this build isn't going to be good until late game, but it at least makes it easier to find the Nitro Hammer, which means that you're going to be seeing this build a little bit more often. Even if it's harder to assemble even if it's still difficult to assemble into the late game. We do lose the 2 seconds of freeze, but that usually wasn't super impactful. The scaling stays the same, they just get 50 at silver. So this change is mainly just to make it more consistent to find Nitrogen Hammer. But again, you basically need the other freeze items to really make it pop off. But I love Nitrogen Hammer, so I'm looking forward to being able to use it more often for sure. Plasma Rifle, another cool one, although it's a very typical Dooley change. So cooldown went up a bit, and it now charges itself on use, or on burn. This makes it actually viable. It was way too slow before. They lowered the scaling a little bit to compensate, which is fair. So now you'd want to use it with like some quick little burn items, so maybe like soldering gun, maybe like hotspot, plus like an Uzi, stuff like that. And you want to make it go off as fast as possible whenever you burn. It's probably decent now. I don't know if it'll be great, but it's at the very least in like the usable kind of a tier, I would say. We'll see how that goes. I'll definitely give it a try. Not sure how amazing it'll be, but we'll see. Railgun got both buffed and nerfed. So it got nerfed at silver, which is probably fair. If you got it at silver early on, it would kind of delete people. At gold, it's the same, and at diamond, it got a slight buff down to 10 seconds. I don't think this will change it all that much. It'll make it a little bit harder to use early on, which was kind of the best time to use it. You would just blow people up with it, but I mean, the second off at diamond is at least okay. We'll see if it makes a huge difference. Sometimes it does, especially in tech builds where they charge each other. So it could be impactful, it could not be. I don't have like a conclusive answer on this. I think it'll be nice to have it be a bit better at diamond, but I'm not sure if this will like rocket it into meta. I don't think so. It'll be at least okay though. Wallace down to 6. He's a little bit more usable now. 7 seconds was pretty brutal on Wallace. I still don't think he'll be super good. He's just very slow. But he does have like self-scaling, so in the early days, this is a pretty nice change for Wallace. But still not anything crazy. Same change with the weaponized core the other one's got, which is just a buff at Diamond, making it a little bit more viable endgame. Probably still not amazing, but it'll at least be a little bit of a potential way to use the core in endgame, maybe. Alright, other changes. This is just a bug fix. So this one's pretty big. So they've basically removed all of the XP options early on. So you can no longer get Mountain Pass early. You can no longer get Study early. Tiny Furry Monster no longer gives you XP. So all of this, and then they've also changed the monsters down here. You can see that the gold monsters give the same XP as silver and bronze. This basically means that you can no longer easily, which I don't think you can at all, I think you can no longer get level 3 on day 2, which is going to make Dooley hurt kind of bad. It's going to be a bit of an issue. It's also going to be much harder to get to level 10 on day 8. So it might be aiming for level 10 day 9 from now on, but yeah, losing the extra slots on the board and not getting the core day 2 is gonna be kind of big for Dooley. It's not as big for the other characters because you can usually just, like, your items are good enough to make it work. But early on, Dooley kind of relies pretty heavily on the core, so our early game definitely got nerfed a little bit here. Overall, it makes it feel less bad when you miss it on the XP, but it also makes it just feel bad because now you just don't get your core at all. But we'll see how this one definitely feels like one I have to like feel out the change for and like play with it to see how it is. My first instinct is that it feels kind of bad for Dooley, but maybe it's a nice change. We don't know. I'll have to give it a try. A Hex got turned off because she wasn't super well designed, honestly, so they're probably just going to rework her. A Hexa was the one with the virus, and it was pretty much a free win. Skills, small refresh, so this is just kind of changing it to match other items. So now it's only the first X times use a small item, heal. So it used to be you could use this with like a bunch of smalls and basically become immune to all kinds of like burn and poison. Now it's not anywhere near as strong as it used to be, but it's still not bad. Like it's nice to have. I don't know if I'd hunt it down in particular, but it's at least like a nice pickup if you happen to get it somehow. And Into the Void. This makes the Void Golem a lot less annoying. So this is first time you use an item, destroy an item, it used to be at the start of the fight. So he has pretty slow items, so it's going to take a long time for him to destroy anything on your board, but he will have double caltrops the whole time, so you still have to account for that. But he's at least like less RNG to fight. He's similar to the Frost Street Champion now, where you're trying to kill him before his items go off, essentially. And that's all the changes. I think, let me just scroll through and make sure there weren't any we missed. Nope, looks like that's all the major stuff. So there we go. Overall, I think it's a pretty good... I like a lot of the buffs here. I think that a lot of the Dooley changes were pretty nice. I love Hacksaw. Cybersecurity seems very strong now. The core changes are nice. Plasma Rifle's good. I love the new kinetic cannon, and more consistent Nitrogen Hammer is nice. I'm a little concerned about the XP changes. We'll see. We'll see how that turns out. That's more of just like a feel it out thing. But yeah, there you go. There's the patch overall. I'll be playing it quite a bit. Hopefully tonight. I'll be streaming it, and we can try it all out and see what the changes feel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.